Hello, Stephanie Zima here, my way of life coaching. Whew, and I'm not even in the middle of my camera here. Let me hit the like button over on Instagram and get things going over there as well. Yes. Welcome tonight. We are going to talk about something that a lot of people are probably secretly dealing with, but not really wanting to talk about, right? So I just want a team or community that truly gets me. So many of you guys are getting all attracted with these, look at these vacations and look at this team event that we're having and look at all these friends that we're having. And when we are feeling lonely ourselves, we possibly could get sucked into something that we are not necessarily knowing what to do with, right? And I feel there's a lot of negative mindset around the network marketing industry that maybe stem from some of these situations. The fact that people had hopes that they would be part of this instant friend group that is not necessarily the reality for a lot of people. There's the reality for some people, and those are the ones that are recruiting their friends and then their friends and then their friends and friends. But often for people like me, for example, that was not the case. That doesn't mean that there's not a great team. It doesn't mean that there's not a lot of people. But like for me, when I first started, I felt really alone. I felt really, really alone. My upline, shortly after she signed me on, she just vanished and stopped doing the business. And then the adopted upline did this for a while, but I never really were able to connect so much. And then eventually that faded away. And it's just kind of like, I feel like there's probably a lot of people in that same situation. And I think if I would have not had such a love for the industry, for network marketing as an industry, because it was a jumping board to give me skills, to give me personal development, to help me heal, right? You hear me talk about healing, connecting, and leveling up all the time. And that is not just in business. This is not just in sales business or in sales jobs. This is healing emotionally myself, as well as healing with relationships, for example, becoming very clear about who I am as a person. Like, what is my identity? And I mean, the timing of it was great, right? Midlife crisis, so to speak, when people are starting to be in their midlives, or hopefully people that are much younger are going to be able to recognize that this is foundational, right? Learning who you are, learning what your desires are, what you're wanting to do in life, what's the right word for it? Hang on. What your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. These things are foundational, right? For good relationships, even. So it's not just in business, but when you are attracted to this industry for relationships, I feel it's really important that you understand how relationships are being built. There's always the Maslow hierarchy of needs. There is a bottom foundation of your bottom needs, right? Your safety, hang on, I'm going to have to pull this up here for just 1 second. I don't remember. Okay, Maslow hierarchy of needs. Okay, so the bottom tier is the breathing, the food, the water, the sleep, the homeostasis, the excretion, right? Physiological needs. That's what it was. So the physiological needs, like that is the bottom tier, the Maslow hierarchy of needs. You need to have this taken care of. Then comes the safety, the security of body, employment, resources. And when you think about, we want to belong as a tribe because in our brain we think that this is going to make us safe. And then combine that human aspect, the friendship, family, intimacy, right? Obviously, we are not talking about intimacy and love and belonging here in terms of like intimate relationships, but friendships. And this is what has been suggested, right? There's going to be love and belonging, and then you are also going to be, see, when you think about network marketing companies, especially the ones in the health and wellness field, they're immediately speaking to the love and belonging, to the safety of financial and the physiological needs of people, right? Taking care of your health with all of this. This is why so many can be attracted to this. However, they also could be grossly disappointed, because when they sign up and they start realizing, like, wait a minute, I am not part of this group. I am not part of the club that doesn't, that makes money, because maybe I don't make any money, right? I don't make any money. I'm not part of that secret club that always earns all the prizes. And now I don't feel like I am loved, and I don't feel like I belong. And now what? Right? And that is where a lot of people can crush down really hard. And some of them just quit. Most of them just quit. But some can actually really crush down and say, wait a minute, I'm feeling even more lonely than I have before. And those are the people that I want to help today. Okay? Because it is important to understand that physiological safety and love and belonging are the bottom of the tiers. Now, you don't need anyone to give that to you. That was the biggest lesson that I have learned within the last 8 years that I've been in online marketing and online business. You do not need a health and wellness company to give you your love and belonging, your safety, and your physiological needs to be met. You don't. You can give that to yourself. Okay. And that's really important, because then the next few tiers would be the esteem, self-esteem, confidence, achievement, respect of others, respect for others. And then eventually that's your purpose. That's your self-actualization, your morality, your creativity, your spontaneity, problem solving, lack of prejudice. Oh, I can't talk today. What is happening? Prejudice, right? Acceptance of facts. I mean, I have worked a lot today and I had a little sleep, so that's probably why. Anyway, all these things, the self-actualization, esteem, and love and belonging, that comes, with being part of it. However, all of it you can work on for yourself. And when you do, not only will you find freedom, not only will you connect with your authenticity, but you will actually be able to heal. Okay, you will be able to heal. Loneliness, feeling alone, not being able to escape maybe toxic or abusive relationships, or getting the divorce that you wanted, or entering a new friend circle that you needed. Those kind of things, they take courage, right? They take courage, and they take you being able to stand by yourself. And there's a lot of people that are not taking that jump. And maybe the reason why you ended up in a network marketing company is because you were secretly hoping that was going to happen. It was going to give you that answer, that strength, that support system. It was hopefully going to give you the ability to make it count, and to make the money, and to replace your income, because you're not, like, how often do I hear, oh, my goal is to replace my income. My goal is to make this happen, so that I don't have to have the job anymore. Why is that? It's because we are not feeling secure with the employment or the resources, right? We are not feeling secure with the friendships over there, with the coworkers, for example. So often that's the case why people don't love being there and not loving that job, because they are not feeling safe. Now, what happens when you don't feel safe? When you do not feel safe, your nervous system gets triggered, your nervous system is getting hyped up, and then you start having symptoms. You numb out, either physically or emotionally. Maybe you're gaining weight because your cortisol levels are too high. Maybe you are puffed up, you're tired, you're depressed, you even are having gut issues. Like, there's a lot of things that can come from you just being absolutely super stressed through the results, or the lack thereof, from not feeling safe. Okay. Now, what I want to empower you today. Empower is the right word. I want to empower you today to not, I don't want you to quit your network marketing company, right? If that's what you are, because they are fun. They are not only fun, but they're also a lot of, there's a lot of tools. There's a lot of opportunity to grow personal development. There's a lot of opportunity for resources, for sales skills resources, all of that stuff. Like, please stay with that. It's not a bad thing at all, right? But can you see how some people think it's a scam when they expect it to be instantly put into a friend circle, and then their reality is they are not? I can see how some people think that's a scam. I also can see how some people say that because they never made money, that could also be a scam. And there's nothing wrong with their emotions or their feelings, but here's what's wrong. They didn't get the assistance. They didn't get the tools to make it. And what I want to do today is I want to empower you to understand that the company that you're with does not necessarily need to give you the skills to do that. It's your job to do it. And that is so freeing, because when you start understanding that you are responsible for physiological needs, you are responsible for your safety needs, you are responsible for the love and belonging, you are responsible for esteem and self-actualization. It's all on you. You could then decide, that just sounds like way too much. Or you can say, oh, best news ever. Best news ever. If I'm in charge of it, I can design it any way I want. I can do it any way I want. I can, take care of my physiological needs with my light or my steam sauna, or with weightlifting, or with CrossFit, or with walking, or with whatever you want to do it. You can take care of your physiological needs with having good nutrition. You can take care of your safety need by paying your bills on time. You can take care of your safety needs by having an employment that you enjoy, right? And if you don't like enjoying your employment, go find another one, or learn some sales skills so you can have some extra income coming in. There's a lot of stuff. Your family, your health, your property, right? I worked the last few months with extreme hyper focus on getting my home in order, going through all the closets, cleaning everything out, painting. Last year, I painted the upstairs. This year, I painted the downstairs. I painted the front and I painted the back. I, have to still do the entire fence. That's next year. But, the house itself was taken care of. Why did I do that? Why did I do that before this big surgery? There were people that looked at me and said, Stephanie, why? Why are you going through all this trouble? And I said, because I needed safety. I needed to feel safe from bugs coming in from the winter. I needed to feel safe and cozy. It was just my way of making sure that I was taking care of my foundational needs. Okay. And we cannot expect other people to do this for us. We need to do this for ourselves. So we need to become aware. What do we need to do to feel safe? What is it? Then love and belonging, friendship, family, those kind of things. Figuring out and putting in the boundaries, figuring out who's fueling my energy and who's draining my energy, who's doing good and who's doing bad for me and with me, and how do I feel with everything, right? Those things are so important. They're so important. And without that, you are not going to have anything. Honestly, without that, you're not going to have anything. So when you realize that your esteem then comes when you start having your foundation taken care of. When you have your foundation taken care of, you're starting to be able to be confident in being able to try something, to be curious. And when you are curious and you succeed, now you build one block at a time, you build your confidence, right? And then eventually that's when your creativity can come to play. That's when you start, even if you're struggling with content creation, for example, maybe you are not creating posts, maybe you're not posting, maybe you're not knowing how to do things. right? Everything comes down to your foundational needs. Where are you at on that tier of that Maslow hierarchy of needs? Where are you at? Are you feeling safe? Is your system feeling safe? If your system does not feel safe, chances are you're acting frozen. You're not freezing. You're not acting. You're procrastinating. You're in self-doubt because maybe you're not feeling safe enough, right, to do it. But you have the chance to do it yourself. You have the chance to work on your physiological needs, your safety needs, and your love and belonging. And that is where you get control. That's where you have your future in your hands. This is where you can, you know, say goodbye to the, oh my gosh, I'm not being accepted over in this group. And you can start becoming your own group and then building your own tribe, right? And you can still have all the things that you want, but you're not dependent on it anymore. And I tell you, that is freedom. If you are loving people to be with you, but you're not dependent on it anymore, that is freedom. That's at least what I can say. So have a good one, and I'll see you all tomorrow.